And we are following new updates tonight after the state attorney's office ruled that a Jacksonville sheriff's officer was justified in shooting a man who ultimately died after a traffic stop last December. Now, body camera video from officers shows that Jamee Johnson jumps into his car during that traffic stop and tries to drive away. Johnson had told officers he had a gun in the car moments earlier. And tonight, our On Your Side team is digging deeper. Haley Harrison is standing by live with Sheriff Mike Williams' response to that release and what he has to say about how those officers responded during the call. But we want to begin with On Your Side's Ann Schindler combing through documents we requested months ago that we finally got this week.
The first thing that's clear in the nearly 70 pages of police reports is this was no ordinary traffic stop. The officer said he stopped 22-year-old Jamee Johnson for not wearing a seatbelt. But Officer Jay Garriga wasn't on traffic patrol. He was part of a saturation patrol in response to several violent crimes in the Talleyrand area. The Community Problem Response, or CPR unit, was deployed in the area as part of the city's violent crime reduction strategy, and traffic stops are just a tool. In fact, when the shooting happened, another team was conducting a second traffic stop just a mile away. We've also learned that Johnson was alive for some time after the shooting. JSO policy says that before rendering aid, officers must secure the scene and handcuff suspects. One officer arrived after Johnson was handcuffed, at least 3 minutes after he was shot, and describes him as alert and conscious. Another officer who followed him to the UF Health Shands trauma unit says Johnson identified himself to nurses before being taken into the operating room for heart surgery. It was there, a little over 3 hours later, that he was pronounced dead. Ann Schindler, First Coast News, On Your Side.